This is Dominic. Dominic works at a 5-star restaurant called the Pixel Palace. There, some of video games' most popular characters come in to have a drink. Sometimes they share stories and even secrets, for as we all know, what the bartender hears is confidential, isn't it?
So I'm sitting there tending bar when in walks someone I don't see very often, Fox McCloud. Now, of course, he's part of the Star Fox crew, so he goes on missions very often, but once in a while he does drop by the actual bar. But there's always been sort of this mystery to him. You know, not too many people knew much about him, so I decided I'm gonna find out a little bit more about him. So I serve him his drink and I ask him, "Hey, Mr. McCloud, what have you been up to?" And he says, "Oh, been going through some real personal discoveries." And I said, "Really? Imagine someone going through a personal discovery here at the Pixel Palace." So I asked him, I said, "What about?" And he says, "Well, just sort of what I like and what I don't like." I said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well, it's hard to explain, but having sort of a change in species." And you're like, "A species change?" He goes, No, not quite like that. I'm not going through any operations. I mean, Lord knows we all know that Carrot Top used to be an orangutan, and I'm not doing anything like that." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about then?" And he says, "Well, recently I've just had this real fascination with humans." I say, "Well, okay, I guess that's not too bad. I mean, how do you mean fascination?" And he says, "I don't know, just something about them, how soft they are, the size of their eyes, the way they design, everything about just this strange fascination with them." And I said, "Are you a humanie?" And he says, "Yes, that's exactly what I am, a humanie. Someone who has a fascination with human life forms." And I said, oh, okay, so you like to get it on with people then?" And he says, "That is a stereotype. Absolutely not true. Sure, there's some animals out there that like to get it on with people, but it is a stereotype that humanies are a part of that." And I said, "Look, Mr. McCloud, there shouldn't be any shame in it. If it floats your boat, it's how you were born." And he says, "No, has nothing to do with it. I'm not that kind of person." And I said, "Okay, well, what does a humanie do then?" And he said, "Well, the main thing that humanies like to do is we like to dress up like humans. You know, the lowercase humanies just sort of tuck in their tails and wear human ears on the side of their heads. But the higher class humanies, they take it a step further. You see, they actually get masks, even full-on bodysuits that just cover their entire body, totally furless." And I said, "Wow." I said, "Well, what kind of humans do you dress up as?" And he says, "Well, if you want to go real easy, you go for Ken. You know, like Ken and Barbie, because, you know, he already sort of looks plastic. If you want to get a little more complicated, you go for a puppet like Howdy Doody, or any of the main characters from Corpse Bride. You see, the more smooth and plasticky it is, the more popular it is. It's all about having no fur. If there's any fur in it, we want it gone." And I said, "Okay, well, what do you go dressed as?" He says, "I go dressed as Jessica Rabbit. Sort of a cross-humanie, if you were. I mean, let's face it, she doesn't exist, so she already sort of looks smooth and plasticky already." And I said, "Now hold on, you're dressing up as Jessica Rabbit." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "There's no sexual issues with this at all." And he says, "No." "Are you sure? Because it sounds like there's some sort of sexual undertone going on here." And he says, "No, not at all, I just like the dress." And I said, "Okay, as long as you're sure, well, what else do you humanies do?" And he says, "Well, we like to get together and play games and talk to one another, make jokes, sodomize one another, and then usually go out and have a bit of dinner." I said, "Oh, hold on. What was the middle part?" And he said, "Oh, we like to go out to dinner." I said, No, before that." And he said, "Oh, well, we sodomize each other." And I said, "Okay. That is sex. That is sex. This is a sexual thing." And he said, "No, it isn't." I said, "Yes, it is. You just said you have sex with other people." He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "That makes it a sexual thing." He says, "No, it doesn't." I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because we're in costume. It's our other identities do it, not us doing it. Therefore, it's okay." And I said, "Look, I'm sure there's humanies out there that enjoy being a humanie without doing anything sexual with it. There's no sexual connection, but you are not one of those people. You clearly have some issues." And he said, "Look, if I want to get dressed up as Catwoman every other night and get it on with another humanie dressed as Batman, that's my prerogative. But it's not a sexual thing. Just because there's sex in it doesn't make it a sexual thing." I said, I think that's the definition of it's a sexual thing. He said, no, it's not. I said, okay, whatever works for you, mate. So we sat there in silence for a little bit, not saying a word to each other, and then I decided to bring up to him, I said, you know, people have something very similar to what you're talking about. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't know if it's always a sexual thing. He says, it's not a sexual thing. I said, okay. And I said, but there are people who have a real fascination for dressing up as animals. And they are, in fact, called furries. He threw his drink in my face and told me to piss off. And that's the last I ever saw of him. Very interesting psyche, that one. Has about the same self-esteem as anyone else who's come in this bar. Well, it's like my mother used to say. The only thing worse than not knowing is knowing. My mother's a furry, that's why I know that. You see a lot of strange things as a bartender. See a lot of strange things at the Pixel Palace. So, I see a lot of strange things as a bartender at the Pixel Palace. And that ain't no lie. So wait a minute.